Medicare and Medicaid fraud is a very serious issue, of course, and we welcome back attorney Warner Mendenhall to talk about this and to tell us exactly what's being done, what people can do. I hate to say it, but it is a growing problem, is it not?
Well, it's been a huge problem in our country. In fact, Medicare and Medicaid fraud alone account for about $100 billion worth of fraud a year. Last year, the federal government was only able to recoup about $1.5 billion worth of that total amount.
Is it doctors that are getting the short end of the stick, so to speak? Are they the ones holding, trying to get their money back, or does it go beyond that? Is it the government as well?
Well, I'll tell you who we find mainly involved in this are the corporations. Sometimes they are home medical services corporations. They could be, Tenet Healthcare was one that was hit recently. Health South was in the news with Richard Scrushy. He had both criminal charges, but there were civil charges which were settled. So this is a tremendously large area. Recently in Cleveland there was a case regarding ambulette services for people who, they were saying that these people needed an ambulance to pick them up and carry them around, and they didn't.
And they didn't.
And they billed for it anyway. So those are the kind of problems that we're seeing.
What can the victims of Medicare and Medicaid fraud do? Where do you go for help?
Well, the main thing is when you have received a service, if you think you've been double billed or Medicare or Medicaid has been double billed, check those bills. And the first thing to do is obviously go talk to the service provider, see if there was a simple mistake. But if you suspect there was something more than that, then you have a right as a citizen of this country under the Federal False Claims Act to file a citizen lawsuit to recover that money and assist the federal government to get taxpayer money back to the taxpayers.
Maybe a little bit easier and also different than you were saying Social Security fraud and other avenues like that. This goes directly, it was empowering to give this availability to the residents.
That's right, and this is a very interesting law. It actually came up, it's called the Federal False Claims Act. It came up under Lincoln in 1865 when the Union Army was being ripped off with mules that were not in good shape, blankets which had holes in them, and rifles that didn't work.
Wow.
So it's an old law, but it's still on the books, and we can use it to help our federal government out.
And very quickly, you said Ohio is also looking at passing a similar piece of legislation.
That's correct. There is before the Ohio Senate what's called Senate Bill 39, and that should help us here in Ohio recover funds that are taken improperly from the state government and recover those for Ohio taxpayers. So I'm really hopeful that our Senate will get moving on that.
All right. Thank you again for joining us today.
Thank you.
Eye-opening information. If you would like to contact Warner, his offices are on Union Street in Akron. The number to call 330-535-9160. And we've also got a link to his website on newsnet5.com. We now go back to Michelle.